Hello gorgeous, welcome to the Femme Universe. My name is Tatiana. Today we have a very special video based on the different goddesses archetypes, which are taken from this book right here, Goddesses in Everywoman. This is a pretty good book actually. If you want to learn more about your own archetype or archetypes, this book actually goes very in depth into different versions of what a woman could look for and learn from that specific archetype. One of my favorite ways to read some books, and this one actually has a version available on Amazon where you can have both the Kindle version and also the Audible version. So it uses Whisper Sync to synchronize what you're reading and what you're listening at the same time. The book itself breaks down into three categories of different goddesses. The vulnerable goddesses, which are Demeter, Persephone, and Hera. The virgin goddesses, which are Artemis, Athena, and Hestia. The third category is the Alchemical Goddess, which is Aphrodite. The vulnerable goddesses are the archetype that embrace being in a relationship, so therefore they're more prone and more vulnerable to getting hurt by others, by their loved ones. The virgin goddesses, they are the archetype that embraces independence, autonomy, focus, so they don't need to focus on another person, on a partner. They don't need to find strength outside of themselves. Actually, they find most of their strength when they are alone, when they are independent. And the alchemical goddess, Aphrodite, she shares both the ability to be in relationships, but also she also shares autonomy. She's also able to be or not be in a relationship without having to feel depressed about it. For Aphrodite, relationships are important, but long-term commitment is not necessarily important. Now let's go dive into the different archetypes. The first one on our list is the lover archetype, which is represented by Aphrodite. The Aphrodite archetype is the one that embraces love, beauty, sensuality, sexuality, prime fertility. She embraces emotional and magnetic appeal. She is full of life force and creativity. She is very connected and very present in her body. She is the type who wears the clothes. The clothes do not wear her. The realm of the lover archetype is an energy that has a very strong pull. Aphrodite's energy opens doors to be able to fulfill both creative and procreative functions. Aphrodite represents art in physical form. She has been and still is the inspiration of many artists, of musicians, of poets, of writers. This energy of the lover represents the beautiful side of a woman who is fully embraced in her senses, in her sensuality, and as a byproduct, she exudes sexuality without even trying. This archetype represents a woman who is able to enjoy love, beauty, aesthetics, art. Something to be conscious of is that this archetype tends to fall in love often and easily. She has that it factor that attracts and magnetizes potential suitors, so there might be a conflict at some point between her mind and her heart. The goddess Aphrodite herself had many affairs, and she was not loyal to just one male god. She had multiple children from different male gods. Her influence is not just limited to sexual or romantic. Platonic love, soul connections, deep friendships, and empathetic understandings are also expressions of love. Some difficulties that she might experience is being appreciated for her beauty on the one hand, but also being highly criticized on the other hand, as others might consider her promiscuous if she acts on her desires, or they might consider her a tease if she doesn't. She might behave friendly with men, and if she doesn't reciprocate their love offerings, they might resent her and act impulsively around her. Other struggles is that she might also lack control and might look for external validation, as this is something that feels familiar and makes her feel safe, which might lead her to feeling as if something is still missing, and she might then indulge into pleasures that end up not feeling fulfilling or substantial in the long run. She might also go through a series of multiple intense affairs, swept up each time by the magic of being in love, and continue to repeat and repeat. To end this pattern, she has to become disenchanted by tempting infatuations and to accept an imperfect human rather than a god, which usually comes with experience. To cultivate Aphrodite energy in your life, activate and be connected to all of your senses. Be present with your body, slow down, smell the roses. Take the time to really enjoy the beautiful moments in life, embrace making eye contact, make time for self-care, make time to enjoy refreshing and delicious baths. Take a rose bath with scented candles, have some nice aromatherapy going on, play some nice and delicious music in the background. Adorn your face and your body in aesthetic ways. Fragrance your body, take care of your hair, enjoy connecting to your body, embrace arts, crafts, and creating, and be playful with yourself. Give a special name to your body and treat it with love and respect. When you're eating food, when you're eating fruits, slow down and connect to their vibrancy, connect to your senses and be there. Enjoy the pleasure that they provide. Connect and submerge yourself in all of your senses. Feel the fabrics on your bed sheets, wear beautiful nightgowns. Feel how the fabric hugs your body, how it hugs your curves. Embrace your light and your dark feminine energies in a harmonic way. Next, we have the Maiden archetype, which is represented by Persephone. She represents youthfulness, vitality, fertility, innocence, purity, beauty, grace. She is creative, empathetic, and receptive. She has an eternally youthful spirit. She has effervescence and playfulness. She has a childlike outlook on life. She's an idealist and an optimistic, but also can be vulnerable and authentic. Persephone represents the springtime in a woman's life. A woman doesn't have to be in her younger years to be able to embrace this archetype. Her spirit, her habits, her lifestyle could all be linked to the beauty and freshness that life has to offer. She might also look younger than her age, as her outer world is a reflection of her inner world. By nature, she is receptive, complete, and she aims to please, so she might be a people pleaser. She might not want to hurt other people's feelings or her feelings, so she might end up bottling those feelings up and end up resenting later on, victimizing herself, as this lighter energy archetype tends to draw more darker energies as a contrast. So she might find herself in situations, relationships that are confusing. And like the goddess Persephone, she might feel that she's been abducted into the underworld, as Persephone was abducted by Hades, the god of the underworld, who was captivated by her beauty and wanted her for himself. This archetype embraces the light feminine energy in a beautiful way, so she attracts more alike. Kids are drawn to her, animals are drawn to her, the innocent are drawn to her. But she also needs to feel safe and supported by her parents, by her loved ones. So she can have a safe space where she can be vulnerable around them. As she also develops her vulnerability, she might be vulnerable in the world, darker, unevolved, lower frequency energies might feel attracted to that contrast that they sense from her. And depending on the environment she is surrounded by, she might be rushed to grow up too fast rather than growing up at her own pace. So she might be prone to experiencing trauma early on from predators around her. So ideally, she has to have a healthy and assertive family who protects her. When Persephone was abducted by Hades into the underworld, her mother, Demeter, rushed to her rescue. She was relentless looking for her, and she didn't stop until she was back in her arms. This archetype might also stay in codependent relationships later on and can remain passive if she doesn't embrace an assertive confidence. She might also suffer in silence and prefer to remain in the back. It is said that a depressed Persephone is like watching a flower fade. Like in mythology, Persephone becoming a guide to the underworld. When her archetype descends into her own depths, she can meditate between the ordinary and the non-ordinary. If she can transmit what she has learned, she can become a guide for others. To cultivate the maiden energy in your life, spend time in nature, especially during the spring. Feel connected to nature, feel connected to plants, feel connected to your fruits and veggies when you eat them. Thank them for keeping you healthy and young. Cultivate kindness towards others, to animals, to children. Spend time with sisters, with girlfriends. Have fun watching girly movies. Enjoy being playful. If it applies for you, cultivate a healthy relationship with your mother. Spend quality time with her. Cultivate assertiveness in ethical ways. Don't rush or stress yourself in order to fit in for others. Embrace happiness by yourself, with others, with loved ones, and have mini parties celebrating the little wins in life. The next archetype is the mother, represented by the goddess Demeter. Demeter represents maternal instincts. She provides physical, psychological, or spiritual nourishments. She is generous, heart-centered, and nurturing. She enjoys taking care of others. She embodies warm and loving energy, but also down to earth and grounded. She can be very protective. If she needs to embrace her mama bear side, she embraces that mama bear side. In mythology, when Hades abducted Persephone, her daughter, she went to her rescue. She did not stop until she found a way or created a way to get her back. In a friend group, she might be the friend who listens, who is very attentive towards others, who takes care of others, the one who has all sorts of blends of teas and also a first aid kit ready and available. She is nurturing, she cares about others, and she has no problem at showing her vulnerability side. She represents that caring friend who is there for her friends in need. If she is a mother, she's a devoted mother. She also appreciates other mothers as they can understand the challenges and rewards of having babies, but she might forget her other friends, so she might become biased, leaving her non-parent friends behind. The challenge might become later on once she realizes that the friends that she has allowed inside of her family circle might not be the most benevolent and positive energies. She might find herself surrounded by other mothers who, in the middle of their struggles and the challenges of lives, might be criticizing other women, especially the ones who are non-parents or the ones that do not look like they ever had a baby. So it's important to keep neuroscience in mind and remember that those we surround ourselves with, we end up mimicking and borrowing some other traits. If she doesn't learn how to set boundaries and set examples for her children, another challenge is that after time she might become more narcissistic, as she expects that her children have to be there for her as she has already sacrificed so much for them. and she might want to be very involved in their lives. She might end up developing the mother knows best type of mentality, which ends up being very controlling. Another difficulty that she might encounter is that she might end up mothering her own husband and ends up forgetting how to cultivate his masculine provider energy. So it's important to slow down and be able to ask for help, reach for help, work together with her partner, and not try to run all of the hats together at the same time to keep the household together. That ends up being something that ends up tiring, making her feel resentful later on. She needs and deserves time to recharge. She needs to be able to connect to her body, connect to her senses, connect to her sensuality, to connect to her feminine essence, to be able to cultivate healthy assertiveness and continue to grow in order to be a healthy source of wisdom for her children. Parents don't need to have everything figured out, but if they stop learning, if they stop being open to new ideas and suggestions, or just learning in general, or being open to asking questions from those that have a successful strategy, if they don't cultivate this type of awareness and growth, they may end up falling into cognitive dissonance, which will end up hurting them and their children later on, creating blocks. The inner work that a parent chooses to ignore or procrastinate on earlier on, such as toxic behaviors, allowing lower vibrational energies to get into their homes, such as people, entertainment, unhealthy communication, disrespectful communication. The more challenges and more homework that the children are going to have to learn later on their own, rather than living life and learning their own lessons, utilizing the tools that they learned earlier on at home. On the positive side, the mother represents a beautiful energy of being grounded, of being a source of wisdom for others, of being a source of nurturing, of care, of being able to be there for her family, for her friends, and set the tone in a way where she not only inspires others around her, she inspires her own self to be able to continue growing, to continue being a better person, a better parent, and be able to set a standard for a healthy family. People are always looking for inspiration and for role models to mimic and learn from, and this is an energy that is very important. We need more people to be able to embrace being healthy parents. We need more people to embrace loving their children, displaying that love, because that's what's going to be able to multiply and be able to continue to have a ripple effect around their environment and those ones that they love. Some ways to cultivate the mother energy in your life is to nurture yourself, nurture others, nurture your loved ones, nurture pets, nurture your plants. Practice both love and assertiveness with your pets if you have them. So if and when you have children, you already have a bit of practice on being able to set healthy boundaries, discipline, and be able to communicate assertively. Connect to your heart space and be able to nurture others and practice vulnerability with those ones you feel safe with. Cook from your heart. Cook for others delicious plates that they're going to enjoy and be thankful that you created them for them. The next archetype is the Queen, represented by goddess Hera. The Hera archetype provides the capacity to bond with someone, to be able to be loyal and faithful. This is the energy that once committed, once married, she means to stay, so for better or worse. The Queen energy is loyal, exudes confidence, leadership, and finds fulfillment in marriage and devotion. She usually attracts powerful partnerships and usually connects with influential men. Her energy and charisma makes her shine in social events. She knows when she is with her people, and she knows she can make an impact with her presence, especially when her husband, her king, provides this structure and safety. then she can just relax and be able to exude and express her beautiful feminine energy. Religious weddings are a reenactment of Hera's sacred rituals, emphasizing the sacred nature of marriage, a spiritual union which grace can be channeled through. The Hera archetype seeks to be partnered up with a high status man and yearns for emotional security. Men who spend money they don't have to impress others do not impress her. Those are not her type. Once she is in a committed marriage, they have a shared vision. She is in it to win it. She is committed like the queen energy. She cares for her king. She is a devoted and reliable energy for him. Some of the challenges that she might encounter is that she might come across as dominant, as territorial, and controlling. And there could be extents that she might go through if she finds her man having an affair. She might be more upset at the other woman than her husband. She might become vindictive towards her. Other challenges is that she might forget about her girlfriends and only prioritizes her husband. She might put her husband in a pedestal, and the problem with that would be that later on she might not only have less friendships and less trusted people around her that she might be able to go to in times of when she needs support, when she needs to be able to spend some quality girlfriend time, but also she might lose some of her own sense of identity. So it's important for her to invest on her passions, on education, on things that make her happy. Cultivating healthy friendships, cultivating healthy habits, cultivating healthy leadership in her life, not making her partner the center of the universe and therefore becoming more vulnerable and prone to wounds. The Hera archetype reacts to loss and pain with rage and activities that might give her the illusion that she is in power rather than rejected. It's important to cultivate self-awareness, to be able to cultivate healthy patterns such as love, trust, and romance within her partnership, and use activities such as working out to recalibrate. This archetype, when it's on its healthy side, is nurturing, it's loyal, it's devoted, keeping the vision alive and living her truth. She can set a standard that others can appreciate and look up to. We all appreciate healthy and honest leadership, as leaders are the ones who pioneer the ways. They're the ones who take the first steps and create a roadmap essentially for others to be able to continue following steps. Some ways to cultivate the queen energy in your life is to practice activities that make you feel and gain more confidence. Even if at first it might seem intimidating, or you might feel like you're doing something wrong or you're not doing it right, take a moment to be able to take a step back and be kind to yourself. Take notes of what didn't work so that way you turn them into lessons and can get more confidence out of them. Remember your worth and appreciate how valuable you are. If something disappoints you or hurts you, remember, chin up. You are a queen. Look and move forward. Treat yourself as an asset, as an investment. Your value only goes up and higher the longer time passes. So, invest on your health. Invest on your education. Invest on your passions. Invest in ways that make you feel more like you, more like a radiant and vibrant you. Improve your posture. Dress up regal, even if it's just during the night. Celebrate and appreciate the fact that you are you. Next archetype is the Huntress. She's represented by the goddess Artemis. She is also known as the wild woman, and this archetype embodies autonomy, focus, and courage. She is self-sufficient, committed to her goals, connected to nature. She exudes boldness, strength to protect, and she's inspired to pursue her dreams. This energy gives women the ability to be able to concentrate on something and be able to not get distracted. She embraces the one in herself sense of wholeness. She is adventurous and she wants to explore what nature has to offer. Since this energy embraces a lot of her masculine energy to create structure, to get things done, she also gets activated a more provider side of herself, and she might end up finding herself protecting other women, advocating for the betterment of treatment of women. She often denies her own vulnerability and the need for another, such as a relationship. This is the type of energy that prioritizes her goals first over the needs of others. She might come across as emotionally distant, emotionally unavailable, as she excels and feels the best when she is able to be independent, so that way she can focus on her own goals. So some of these challenges, such as the fear of vulnerability, might come across as conflicts about her later on when she realizes that it could be self-sabotage. Her own inner doubts are her own worst enemy, even if on the surface she looks solid. She also might find it challenging to be able to relax into her softness, to relax into her own feminine energy. After a while, she might realize that the path is actually endless and there's multiple ways to go about things, to go about exploring. After some time, her own body might want to get more attention. It might crave a stronger connection with her. And that's part of the beautiful feminine experience, to be able to enjoy the full senses that our bodies have to offer and be able to not feel afraid to be vulnerable, to be able to explore the different ways that we get to know and understand our own vehicle, which is our body. As she's very connected to nature, she might realize that one of the ways to honor her ancestors, to honor the ones who fought for their lives so she could be alive, is to continue to pass on her legacy. This energy is a beautiful reminder that we can turn inwards and reflect on what is important to us and be inner directed as well as outer focused. This archetype learns that there is a need for both intimacy and independence, and be able to balance both. To cultivate more of the Artemis energy in your life, focus on your goals, write them down, keep track of them, structure your goals so that way you can more easily achieve them. Practice meditation to be able to work out the focus on being present. Practice archery, have big goals, and be able to celebrate the little wins on the way. Next archetype is the sage, which is represented by the goddess Athena. Also known as the wise woman, the sage archetype is insightful, she is rational, she is motivated, she is disciplined, she is strategic, she is diplomatic and organized. In mythology, Athena was a protector, an advisor, a patron, and ally to heroic men. Athena was known for her winning strategies and practical solutions. This archetype energy is the one that is more ruled by the head over the heart. She is not afraid to pursue the path of self-improvement, and she's dedicated and open to letting go of older versions. This archetype rules women who know what the bottom line is. She doesn't hesitate to get mentors, sponsors, allies, as just intellectual ability alone is usually not enough to get ahead. She prefers to observe and analyze before she decides what she wants to do next. The Athena archetype likes to have resourceful mentors and friends rather than as lovers, rather than focusing on another person's needs, which might end up getting on the way of her focus. For the Athena archetype, power is the best aphrodisiac. They have no time for men who are indecisive, irrational, or too sensitive. She values men who go after what they want, who are strong, who are motivated, and successful winners on modern power struggles. To grow beyond Athena, a woman needs to develop other aspects of herself, such as opening up and being more receptive, developing compassion, imagining what others are talking about when they're trying to express themselves. Otherwise, she might fall into the Medusa effect, which is when a woman has the ability to intimidate others. Some difficulties she might come across too are when she is out in the business world and she can get caught up in the power games, and after a while she might become restless until she realizes how all-consuming her work is and she feels a need for more balance. This is when a woman extracts so much from her masculine energy, she feels energy depleted, she feels energy drained, and she needs to go back and connect to her softer feminine side, connecting to the beautiful feminine essence, and go back to feeling playful, being able to grant herself permission to receive love, to receive care, to be able to pamper herself, to be able to allow herself to just relax and not carry on so much stress and so much burdens. She needs to activate her receiving mode, connecting to her body, including being able to gracefully receive beautiful moments in life. Those moments that make life so precious, allowing her to feel rejuvenated. She needs to allow herself to play, laugh, cry, and be hugged. Once she is able to achieve this balance, she changes the way she thinks, and her relationships with people change. Some ways to cultivate the Athena energy in your life is to continue learning, continue expanding your education, expand your curiosities about life, watch more documentaries, listen to podcasts, read more books, practice self-accountability, trust yourself that you're able to get things done. Get a planner, write down your plans, write down your goals, write down your strategies. Have a plan A, B, C on how you want to execute and build your dream life. Organize your belongings and declutter. Let go of what doesn't spark joy in your life. Have a healthy structure energy and have a structured morning routine that feels rewarding, that feels fulfilling, and feels good to follow. The next archetype is the mystic, which is represented by the goddess Hestia. This archetype is one of presence. She is intuitive, she is creative, she is peaceful, she is very connected to her heart, to the divine. She has a natural ability to focus on her inner world and her spiritual journey. She is detached from the material world and values her independence. She enjoys her solitude, she is private and can come across as mysterious. She finds her truth and expression from connecting to a higher force. Hestia's way of perceiving is by looking forward and intuitively seeing and sensing what is going on. This archetype gains insight on other people's character by observing their patterns, feeling the significance of their actions. This inner perspective is what provides clarity in the midst of confusion. With Hestia as an inner presence, a woman is not attached to other people, to outcomes, to possessions, to power. She feels whole as she is. Her ego is not on the line. Her energy is of self-centeredness. She's able to be that still point that continues to be more inward focused, to be able to remain calm regardless of what's going on around her. She also needs to take her time and be able to enjoy the experience of what she's doing, so that way she can be fully present and be very absorbed in the process, as if she is performing a Japanese tea ceremony with a sense of serenity, of grace, of flow, being able to be present in each moment, in each movement. She is not oppressed by the clock. This archetype prefers to not engage in gossip gossip or political discussions. She has the ability to listen with a compassionate heart, staying centered in the midst of whatever turmoil a friend might bring to her. She is able to provide a warm and safe place. The saying, "still waters run deep," describe Hestia's introverted feelings which lie below the surface. Although she values solitude, it can turn lonely for her if the people she loves and cares about are not aware of how she feels about them. To be able to grow from this, she needs to exercise and exude more of her assertiveness. She needs to have an active aspect of her personality that she can share with others. If there was a female version of Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid, that would be a great example of what a Hestia woman would feel like. The wisdom that she acquires by going inwards benefits her loved ones. Since this archetype is more on the introverted side, it's important to have healthy time to recharge alone, as introverts recharge by spending time alone. But of course, it's also important to cultivate healthy relationships and be able to enjoy the human experience with those we love. Being able to utilize all of our senses and go through that experience, including utilizing our voice. Emily Dickinson is an example of a very introverted and mysterious woman. She intuitively wrote a lot of her poems. Of course, there's more to her story, but the point is that most of her poems were published after her death, and many consider them brilliant. This is an example of the Hestia energy when isolation goes to an extreme. But overall, this archetype is one that delights on its quiet and warm presence, providing comfort and peace just by being present. That is a gift. Some ways to cultivate the Hestia energy is to meditate. Meditation is the key portal to connecting to our higher source, to connecting to our soul. Also journaling, scripting, practicing intuition with material tools such as oracle cards. Spend time in nature, connect to plants, connect to animals, intuitively communicate with them. Be able to connect to a higher frequency while meditating, praying, practicing Zen in your life. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave in the comment section below which archetype or archetypes are the ones that resonated most for you. If you're curious on some books to consider for the masculine counterpart, would be Gods in Every Man by the same author as Goddesses in Every Woman, and King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. I will also be making a masculine archetype video, and I will leave that link to this video once it's out. If you would like to find ways to connect with me in my world, the information will be under the description of this video. Have a beautiful day. I will see you in my next video.